What's going on, Softy? How you been?
How are you, bud?
Pretty good. David Maller with a KJR Juggernaut, Cappuccino Capital Way, at Softy KJR via Twitter, part of the iHeartRadio family. So you can listen to Softy, send some talkbacks or maybe some texts later in the afternoon as we go here in the cornfields. And as the Friends on Foes series continues, and we're almost done, we hit Seattle. You like that, don't you? Friends on.
Yeah, really creative. Just the creativity is just dripping out of this radio show. Man, unbelievable. Where'd you come up with that genius idea? By the way, can I congratulate Nordo on another baby? And he has promised me if he has a fourth, he's going to name it Softy. So let's go for it, Nordo.
I appreciate it. And girl or boy, the nickname will
Softy.
indeed be Softy. 100%.
That's right.
I'm in.
It's like Pat. It just kind of works either way, man. Gender neutral. That's the whole thing these days. You got to be gender neutral, baby, about everything. And Softy is like Chris or Pat. You never know. It could be a boy or a girl. Come on, man. Let's do it.
All right, 3-2.
All right.
The Minnesota Vikings are at Seattle Week 16. So once again, listen to Softy in the afternoons if you're interested via the free iHeartRadio app. The schedule, just the way it starts for you guys. Holy cow! I mean, at LA Chargers, winnable, yes, but still kind of tough. Then at Tennessee, okay, winnable, but I think they're going to be physical, and I think some people are sleeping on them a little bit. In case you're thinking about and like a season total that is of the overwhelming variety. And then your home openers against Cleveland, one of the most physical teams.
Hang on. Time out a second.
What happened?
Nordo, this is how old PA is getting. He's losing his mind.
What happened?
Okay.
He's literally reading the preseason schedule to me.
I know. I understand that because the two.
They open up against the Denver Broncos. Who gives a damn about preseason football? I haven't been with you in months. And you're going to introduce me and start talking preseason football? The most worthless thing that sports has to offer is preseason football. We're talking about practice, not a game, practice. We're talking about practice.
You stepped on my touchdown call.
You're going to talk to me about preseason football? No. Let's go to Denver in week 1. No. Come on, man, get with it.
You stepped on my touchdown call because I was going to dagger it with, and then that's just the meaningless preseason. And then you open with the anti-Vike, Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos. So I actually think the schedule, outside of San Francisco a couple of times, McVay's always tough to beat a couple of times. Cardinals will be better with Marvin Harrison Jr., but they're ever beatable. I mean, seriously, if the Seahawks improve with the new coaching staff and everything, you might be able to rattle off some wins early in that thing. What do you think?
Well, first of all, this is why we have to have pre-show meetings so we can discuss all this stuff. If you've got a fancy schmancy special clip that you want to play, I need to be in on that. This is what happens when you leave people out of the conversations and talk behind their back. So lesson learned.
No, that's actually what happens when people listen to people and let them talk, but that's okay.
Okay, what was that? I didn't hear that. What was that?
All right, 3-2. What do you think of the schedule?
No, listen, dude. Here's the story. The first 2 weeks are against Bo Nix and likely Drake May, okay, in the opener. Yeah, there's a chance they see Jacoby Brissett in the second game at New England, but there's no reason why this football team should not be 2-0 after playing Denver and the Patriots in the first couple games of the year. Starting in week 3 when Tua Tagovailoa comes to town, I don't know from there. But if you can bet big, if you can bet the house, all right, on Nordo having another baby and then parlay that with the Seahawks going 2-0 in their first 2 games of the year, I would take that to the bank because Nordo is going to have another baby, and the Seahawks are going to go 2-0. It's the easiest money of all time. So I just think week 3 is kind of where things get a little weird for the Seahawks. And Paul, here's the deal.
Yeah, my name is Paul.
We don't know much about a lot of players on this team right now. They got 2 new starting linebackers. They got new starting safeties. As you know, Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs are out of here. Thank God Jamal Adams never came back. I was so ready to move on from that guy. I've never, ever in my life been in a situation where I could not root for every player on my football team. And when Jamal Adams was here, I just could not root for the guy. All right, he's a total bum on and off the field, and I'm glad he's gone. So thank God that experiment's over. But we've talked about this on 93.3 FM in Seattle, which you can get on your iHeart app, by the way, that we're more fired up, I think, for the coaching staff than we are the players themselves. I mean, they got a brand-new head coach. They got a brand-new offensive coordinator. They literally blew everybody out. They didn't bring one person back. from Pete Carroll's staff, except for the strength coach, Ivan Lewis, who also worked for Steve Sarkisian over at UW. So he's kind of becoming a local yokel around here. But it's a totally brand new staff with maybe the best defensive mind walking planet Earth right now in Mike Macdonald.
Right. Well, okay. With Macdonald, I and a fair amount of people have heard the name and maybe know something about him. But offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb and defensive coordinator Aiden, I believe it's Dirty. I've never heard of him. So what do you like about him?
Well, Aiden Dirty is a Brit. He's he came over here as part of their exchange program or whatever. I mean, I guess back in the day when we were in school and there was exchange students coming from Norway or Japan or Germany, whatever. They just picked up that thing and did it in the NFL. So Aiden Dirty came over from Britain a few years ago. He's the defensive coordinator in name, but Mike Macdonald's going to call the defense. So I don't know if Aiden Dirty is really that big of a significant character at this point. At some point, Macdonald's going to step aside and probably let him call the plays. But for now, Mike Macdonald's going to call plays because that's what he does, man. He is a defensive coordinator / play caller of elite proportion. You're an elite football mind. I'm an elite radio man. Mike Macdonald is an elite defensive play caller in the NFL. So to give that up in year one as the head coach, I think would have been a mistake. Ryan Grubb comes over to us from Washington, where he took Michael Penix and the Huskies to the national championship game, beat Texas, beat the Oregon Ducks 3 times when he was here. Obviously got shut down by Michigan, but Michigan shut everybody down, and they did the same thing to UW in the title game. So a lot of people are fired up for Ryan Grubb to stay in town. He's real unique in that he's not a run or a pass guy. He's elite at everything. Go back and watch some of the Washington games last year. Whatever kind of game they had to win, right? In the rain against Oregon State, drag it out against Wazoo in the Apple Cup, high-scoring game against USC, run the ball down the Trojans' throats, throw for a buttload of yards against Michigan State. They were able to do everything and anything it took to win, and they were clutch in the fourth quarter. That's the amazing thing about Ryan Grubb. You give him a shot in the fourth quarter, you give him a bite of the apple, he's going to swallow the whole damn thing. So, Paul, I'm more fired up for Ryan Grubb and Mike Macdonald than I am any free agent or draft pick the Seahawks took over the offseason.
Hardcore football.
What excites you more? New Seattle offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb or a Rosarena tearing it up for your M's and hitting home runs?
Yeah. How about Randy Arozarena with his first home run yesterday when the M's were down 10-1?
Yep.
Great timing by the new guy. I mean, if he's going to hit all of his home runs when the M's are down 10-1, then all right, no thanks, whatever. But, dude, they need so much more than Randy Arozarena. They went out and they got Justin Turner, who's 40 years old in November. They got the reliever from Toronto, Garcia, Diaz, whatever his name is. I'm getting him confused already. I haven't had my coffee yet, by the way. But they made some moves. But by 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock Pacific time today, 5 o'clock your time, they need to go out and get another bat. So if you guys can spare some offense, Nordo, you have any kids that can hit, call us, because the Mariner offense is in the absolute gutter right now, and they're going to piss away, and I mean piss away, one of the elite pitching staffs in baseball and maybe the best rotation of all time in Mariner history. And I was in a good mood until 30 seconds ago talking football with you until you brought up the Mariners. So thanks a lot, pal.
All right, at Softy KJR, let's reinvigorate the mood. What do you think of your beloved Huskies this year?
You know what, dude? I'm heading in the car right now. Jed Fish and company have a 3-hour media day. Good God, do we really need 3 hours of media day? We just got back from Big Ten Media Day, or the Huskies got back from Big Ten Media Day, where they did everything, and now we're doing a 3-hour media day with press conferences and one-on-ones, and I'm getting too old for this stuff, man. I just don't care as much as I used to about that aspect of the job. I want to drink, play golf, go on the air, and then drink and play golf some more when I'm done. Maybe that's what happens when you turn 50 years old, but I'm loving it right now. But I'm on the way to UW right now to visit with Jed Fish and Brennan Carroll and Steve Belichick. We got Pete Carroll's son as the offensive line coach and offensive coordinator. We got Bill Belichick's son as the defensive coordinator. Came over from the Patriots where he was calling the plays for them a year ago, and I don't think the guy is really going to be here very long. If you saw Steve Belichick in person, you'd think he'd rather have a root canal than be the defensive coordinator for the Huskies. And who can blame him? The guy was calling plays in the NFL for the Patriots last year, and now he's going 3,000 miles across the country to call plays for Washington. So I think these guys are all on short-term status in Seattle. Jed Fish, if you look at his resume, Paul, he bounces around big time. He's been to like 12 stops in the last 16 years. His MO is the NFL. He wants to be back in the NFL, either as a coordinator or a head coach, and I think all these guys are just biding their time. Hopefully they can do for us what Kalen DeBoer did in the 2 years he was here, because he was marvelous. But the biggest question for Washington is their offensive line. And now that we're in the same conference with you guys, I'm bummed out we don't play Minnesota this year, maybe next year. But this is the year to get Washington, because I have no idea. They got 5 brand new offensive linemen, Paul, 5 of them, including a guy that went to a JUCO school twice, by the way, potentially at left tackle. They got backups that shouldn't even be starting all over the offensive line. They got FCS guys that transferred from the Big Sky that might be starting on the offensive line. So reason why I bring that up, they had the best offensive line in college football last year, and I have no idea what this offensive line is going to look like this year. None.
Softy KJR at Softy KJR.
God, that was great analysis.
Yeah, but
unbelievable, detailed stuff. This is why you have me on. There's nobody you put on the air, not one guest across the country, talking college, talking hockey, talking NFL, talking baseball, basketball, men's gymnastics. What a performance by our boys last night in Paris, by the way. Nobody can bring this depth of insight to your show. Nobody.
No, there ain't no doubt. I'm going to give you a sneaky little nugget here, okay?
Don't ask me any hockey questions.
No. There's a player on the Huskies who transferred from Colorado named Cameron Warchek. Just keep your eyes on old Cameron Warchek, okay? Do you
Cameron Warchek?
So wait,
got it.
George,
I love the name.
George Fant's back in the mix. Does that mean the extra offensive lineman thing that nobody can stop?
So here's the thing about George Fant. He's not an extra offensive lineman. He's probably going to be a starter. They're paying him $7 million, Paul. Abe Lucas isn't healthy yet. The right tackle for the Seahawks. He's in year 3 out of Washington State University, now with the Pac-2 and not the Pac-12, along with Oregon State. He's hurt. He's not playing right now. We have no idea when Abe Lucas is going to be ready. So I think the George Fant acquisition was a precursor to them thinking that Abe Lucas might be a few weeks away or even months away from being able to come back. So as of right now, George Fant is your starting right tackle. And you remember that story where Tom Cable and Pete Carroll drafted him out of Western Kentucky. He was a basketball player at Western Kentucky. And they drafted him thinking he's got the skills, he's got the measurables, all the numbers to play tackle in the NFL. And my God, what a call by those guys, because he's made a bunch of money now playing football for teams like the Jets and the Seahawks. And I'm glad he's back, because the Seahawks may need him as a starter, man.
Any chance Sam Howell pushes Geno Smith?
No, none. Yeah. In the words of Hugh Millen after the first couple weeks of practice, Sam Howell's not even number 2.
Ooh.
He's number 3 behind P.J. Walker.
Wow.
I mean, he does not look great. And I don't know if you've seen him play in person. We saw him here a year ago with the Commanders. Thought he was okay. He's little. I mean, my God, standing next to even people like Geno Smith, he looks small. So he is the clear-cut number 2 right now, and may even be number 3 when it's all said and done. Do I think he'll be the number 3 on game day against Denver? No, I don't. And Sam Howell will be number 1 and number 2. But 2 years ago, when Russell left and we had Drew Lock and Geno, there was a thought that maybe Drew Lock could beat out Geno Smith, and Drew Lock was never even really given a shot. He wasn't set to start until game 3 of the preseason, and he got COVID. So he never had a chance to even show anybody what he could do in preseason football. But yeah, Geno Smith is the clear-cut number 1 starter at quarterback, and the gap has not been this big since Russell Wilson was here.
Elite energy as usual. Go Seattle Storm. Go Skylar Diggins, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Hey, let me ask you this. Is it Sam Darnold, or is it going to be my guy J.J. McCarthy, who I saw play against the Huskies in the national championship? Who starts that game against the Seahawks?
Jaron Hall, second-year BYU, will start week number 1.
Listen to you just playing mind games already. This just goes to show you how nervous you are about that Seahawks game. You're playing mind games already.
No, I'm not nervous. You give me anxiety, and you step on all my touchdown calls. So I love you. You are the elite of all elite radio minds ever to be elite. And we'll talk soon, all right?
Yeah. Keep me in the loop next time, and I won't step on your calls.
Yes, sir. That's a Softy, David Maller from a KJR in the iHeart family. Again, via the free iHeart radio app, you can listen to Softy each and every weekday afternoon if you are so inclined. We are set to listen to Brian Flores, who conducted a press conference yesterday talking about the Vikings defense. So let's get some insight from B Flow when 9 to noon continues.
9 to noon returns, and as you heard it from PA into break, Brian Flores, defensive coordinator, Minnesota Vikings. He had the chance to chat with the media after yesterday's first padded practice of camp. Here is Mr. Flores.
I want to let you know how excited we are to get started with the first day of pads. I know for me this is always a high-energy day for myself, for the coaches, for the players. When you get into kind of some of the real action of football that we all love and enjoy. Our guys have been working extremely hard. I think they've done a good job really across the board, but really focused on just improving, as KO says every day, just getting a little bit better every day. I think, we've got young guys doing that. We've got our vets leading the way as far as building routines and this is what I'm doing pre-practice. This is what I'm doing post-practice. This is how I'm watching film. So we're getting good leadership from our veterans and our young guys. They're coming along. But today's a big day.
You mentioned the energy that goes with pads going on for the first time. For the defensive backs, how much of a teaching tool or an evaluation tool does that become when the pads go on? How do you use that as you're going through with the DBs?
Well, the game's all about tackling. So obviously won't be tackling out here today, but to see if they're in position to tackle someone, which what goes with that is being able to control blocks, shed blocks, and be in position to tackle good receivers, good backs, good tight ends. So certainly an opportunity to evaluate that from a controlling blocks, shedding blocks standpoint, but also an opportunity to see guys hopefully put hands on some of the receivers in some of our coverages where we're looking to reroute and disrupt the timing. It's a timing offense. It's a rhythm passing league. So anyone who's using physicality to disrupt that timing is doing something that's being taught for sure.
You guys have talked a little bit about playing more man coverage. Does this become kind of an area to teach that in terms of techniques you want with press and reroute, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you can certainly get some of that taught without pads or in the shells, but definitely with pads, a little bit more. You can be a little bit more physical, and that's real football. So that's what we evaluate today is as close as you can get to what we'll do on Sundays in the fall. So, and that's what we tell them, and we're trying to fuse communication and playing high IQ football with also playing a physical brand of football, and that was the message this morning, and I think our guys have done a really good job up to this point, but we're trying to improve every day, and today's a big day.
What's your familiarity with Bobby McCain?
I was with Bobby in Miami. Love Bobby. Bobby loves playing football. He's smart. He's physical. He's played multiple positions over the course of his career. A lot of familiarity. He's got leadership for sure. Communicates well. I was excited that we had an opportunity to get him, and I'm glad he's here.
He moved to safety for you. Do you see him as a safety or a corner or just wherever he fits?
I love the versatility that the fact that he's played several positions. He'll start at safety, but you may see him in there at nickel. You may see him, matched up on, certain guys. Even day one, there's, with a vet guy like that, there's just a conceptual understanding of things that any defense, does or can do, and he's already got a pretty good feel, and we'll see some of that today. But excited to have him.
What have you thought of Theo Jackson going back to the spring?
I think Theo's done really going back to when I first met him last year, There's been an incredible amount of growth, an incredible amount of just improvement. That's probably the best term to use for him. Improvement in really all facets of his game, but really off the field as well. Anyone who watches Theo work, from a meeting standpoint, from a training standpoint, from just an understanding of concepts and knowledge of the game, I think he's starting to put a lot of things together. He's growing in confidence, which that comes with preparation, and he prepares the right way, and it's showing up on the field.
Ron, what are your thoughts on the safety group in terms of their depth and performance in camp so far? We lean on that group. Those are the leaders of the team. That's our hub of communication. We strive to be a defense that can be multiple and change, coverage, front structures, and that starts with that group. Between really, all of them, you've got a lot of versatility, but there's a toughness, there's a tenacity out of that group that, and a play style that that I love. Those guys, they've done a nice job so far, but they're hungry to do more. Whether it's Metellus, whether it's Harry, Beasley, Theo, Lewis, Jay Ward, he's gone in there and done some good things already. And now Bobby, it's a very good group.
Brian, what did you learn about where Dallas Turner stands in his evolution when the pads come on and he started to go at it?
I know quite a bit already. I know he loves the game. I know he studies the game. I know it's important to him. I know he asks the right questions, which lead me to believe that he's going to, get himself in good position or find a way to get himself in good position. And then he's very talented. I think the pads, feeling the length, the strength, the instincts of NFL offensive linemen. I think there's a getting used to that factor for every rookie, and it's no different for him. But I think he'll answer the bell because that's what he does.
How did you finish the season last year thinking about a Caleb Evans, and how has that changed at all over the course of the spring and into the summer?
I thought Caleb did a lot of good things last year. I think there was a lot of growth and improvement from him from, when I got here, through the spring, through the season. There's always ups and downs for every player. I know he got banged up there. I forget what game it was. But that's life in the NFL, and I think he's bounced back, and he's strung some good days together, and we're going to need him, and he'll be there for us. So I'm excited about it, Caleb. You can't teach that height, that length, and his speed, and like all of us, he's working to be as consistent as he can possibly be. But that's across the board, and that's what training camp's for, is to continue to work those techniques and fundamentals, communication. I think he plays best when he's having a good time. And so let's go out here and have fun. You've been doing this since you were a little kid.
Does the league still have the rule where you can't press like in OTAs and early in camp? Do they still have that?
I know the exact, because I read these memos. I read these memos like I go over them with a fine-tooth comb. So you can put hands on, you can't impede or impede a lot essentially in OTAs in the early part. So look, I think for us, we just try to work the technique. And we talk about, hey, when we put the pads on, we can do a little bit more here. We can get a little bit more of a jam or a chuck here, but try to stay within the parameters of those rules for sure.
Is it open now? I mean, you had last week.
Yeah.
Is today the first day that you can do it like you would do in a game?
Yes. So quick jams and, really trying to be physical at the line of scrimmage. But I don't know if with Jets and Jordan Addison, I don't know if you want to go up there and try to quick jam those guys. So you got to pick your poison on some of those techniques and who you're up against and what your skill set is. But yeah, we always want to be physical. We always want to put hands on receivers. Again, like I said, it's a rhythm passing league, and if you can get the offense off rhythm, you put yourself in a little bit better position.
Can you teach that art or that the way you want to teach it with that restriction? I mean, how does that affect your ability to teach that?
You're trying to go down a rabbit hole. I mean, look, the rules are the rules, and I think we've got to, do the best we can, given what those parameters are. I think every coach always wants to do more. That's why we're out here. I mean, I could sit out here all day and do press coverage, or block protection, or block destruction, or I could do that all day, but there's rules in place for every team. It's fair, and we got to do the best. That's why I talk to our guys about being efficient with our time, efficient with your individuals, efficient with your meetings, because we don't have a lot of time to get a lot done, and that's a technique for a corner or an outside backer or a defensive lineman. The time constraints are what they are, and do the best we can with them, and still try to disrupt the timing of receivers, tight ends, and backs.
That's defensive coordinator Brian Flores addressing the media yesterday, and all of these press conferences as they arise outside of practice windows and such. If we can, we're going to try and play those back for you when prescient to the conversation 9 to noon. When we return, we're going to skate on over to the NHL. We're heading to St. Paul, Minnesota Wild, and Brock Faber reached an agreement on a massive contract extension, and Brock was nice enough to carve out some time for us. Brock Faber joins PA next. Final segment, 9 to noon.
I can't wait until tomorrow, 'cause tomorrow might very well be too late. I can't wait until tomorrow, 'cause tomorrow could never come.
Right.
It could end any minute.
Brock Faber, it's Paul Allen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Right on. Good chatting with you, man. Hopefully summer's rolling along nicely. Brock just got a well-deserved 8-68 as one of the game's very best blue liners. We here with 9 to noon, and on behalf of the state of hockey, congratulate you on that. Roughly how many texts when the news popped? I mean, have they stopped?
We just went through it. I got 175 unread right now. So
unread.
I got unread. So I got I have some responding to do today, but can't complain about that.
Yeah, I'm 58. You're going to be 22 in like a month or something. So let me attempt to join your age group. There are a fair amount there you can leave on read, and they probably won't write back to minimize your texting. You know what I mean? Rock. I'm glad my man got that 8-68 so he can get a new phone. Brock Faber with an 8-year, $68 million deal, highest paid defenseman in the history of the team, and worth every penny. With the runner-up in the Calder, that was ballyhooed, and that was noteworthy. And in reading Michael Russo's story about this deal, I like maybe he said it before and I just missed it, but he considers Brock Faber a linebacker on skates, and just in the past, chatting with Brock about Jonas Brodin and Jared Spurgeon and what goes in to Brock Faber and improvement because you come from the University of Minnesota and you come from a wonderful program, and Motzko and his staff do excellent work. But nevertheless, these are the big boys, and it's going to be markedly different than obviously what you see in the Big Ten or what you see in college hockey. And I mean, shoot, my man was ready for it. I mean, my man was ready for it right out of the gate. So it was just wonderful having that 90-second conversation with Brock Faber, one of the game's very best blue liners. But you know what? Whether it's peppering him about the teams involved in the no trade, or some things about his offseason, or John Hines heading into his first full season as coach of the Minnesota Wild. If we don't talk to Brock up until the regular season, then at least 9 to Noon can say we got to offer him congratulations and do so for the entire state of hockey. So the A topic would be the wholehearted and genuine and authentic happiness we would display for Brock, and a deal like this, which is obviously of the gargantuan variety. What's going on, bud? Everything good?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So there's a 15-team no trade. All right, and I ain't gonna ask you the teams, but like, how does one determine where one does not want to play?
It's hopefully it never comes to that, right? Hopefully it's, you're here for the whole contract. But I guess if that time comes, I think it's just it's you pick your team. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about it either, and I'm hoping I never learn more.
Right? Yeah, that's agent stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I hope it never comes to that. That's
right,
for sure.
Right. Now with you, in the early stages of what hopefully is a super long career with a bunch of hoistings of the cup, you're so good at blocking shots, man. I mean, it's just natural. You just take it for the team because you're a team first guy in a team oriented sport. But how does one train the mind to block shots?
I mean, it's I don't think it's really a skill. It's just and I think, there's definitely a little bit of skill that goes into it, but, I think it's just kind of you lining up across from you to take a one-timer. It's, whether you're going to do it or whether you're going to, pretend like, I don't know. I think it's more just of a mindset thing, whether you want to or don't want to.
What's it like having Jake Middleton on the team and in the room?
Yeah, he's great. Obviously, I played with him the majority of the year last year. We see each other all the time. He's a better person. He's always lively. Smile, the stash. He's an all around incredible human being for sure.
Do you, or how much do you know, or do you know much about DU defenseman and first round pick Z Boyum? I mean, you guys one day will be playing together.
Well, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot about him, and I have guys that have played with or against him, and he's from what I hear, he's an incredible player, incredible person, and what I've heard, the steal of the draft, and from what I've seen, it absolutely looks like it.
How lastly here, and congratulations again, Jonas Brodin.
Oh, thank you.
How has he made you a better pro?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's just that smart. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt. And not necessarily being a two-way player, Faber's a two-way player. Having Jonas Brodin and the likes of Jared Spurgeon and Jake Middleton around, that only will bolster the opportunity for somebody into or out of an 8 and a 68 as one of the game's very best defensemen to execute his toil. He's only 21 years of age. He's like a month from being 22. So congratulations to Brock Faber, and congratulations to the Minnesota Wild for securing, in long-term fashion, one of the very best in the game. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Paul Allen. Here's Nordo with a wrap on the show.
Thanks to Casey's for bringing you the 9 to noon show wraps, food and fuel rewards, and of course the elite pizza. It's Casey's. Stop into one today. PA at Vikes practice, toting his knapsack, the back of his pants looking like a Rorschach, guzzling Miralax. The situation's tenuous already, the line for the bathroom, unibrow getting sweaty. Tomorrow, go time, flip on the GoPro. Please be gentle, sir. Be sure to go slow. Speaking of the abyss, exploring below. Turns out the guy wasn't a doctor, though. Waking up in an alley feeling sour. Walking like you were on a horse for 6 hours. Need Horatio Caine to get to the bottom of this. Back door left open. Something's amiss. Anyway, we're obsessed with Vikes Camp. Contract with Brock Faber. Lighten the lamp. Tomorrow at 9, man, where to begin? I suppose we'll stick with football always wins.
My ding-a-ling. My ding-a-ling.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.